If I was titling this message this morning, it would be, "You can't stop this river. You can't stop this river." God is doing a great thing here in the last days. The great book of Ezekiel chapter 47. He's doing a great thing these last days. Taking the limitations off the church. And we're going to be seeing more of this. I want you to understand that in our life, relate this to your own life today, because everybody's at different levels in their life, but the same Spirit. Everybody is led by that is born again, is led by the Spirit of God. And what you're going through today may not be what I'm going through, but we may, it don't mean that we'll be eliminated from it, but it means that the Spirit is in control. And He leads us into areas to, He don't lead us into areas to hurt us. He leads us into areas of our life that we will become strong. That we can become strong and effective in our purpose, or effective in our destiny with Him. And this is what it's all about. Let's go to Ezekiel here. So good this morning. I made a pile of mistakes up there, but the anointing is good this morning. And we practiced with all the group up there, and then there's nobody but me on Sunday morning, and I'm waiting on them to kick it off and go with it, and they ain't there. So that's where I was. That's where I was at this morning. I was hearing that picking coming in on them songs, and wasn't nothing there. So, but we made it through it, and it was good. But see, these are times that we go through in life. You see what I'm talking about? And God works things out, and He always does. But Ezekiel chapter 47. Then He brought me back to the door of the temple. There was water flowing from under the threshold of the temple toward the east. For the front of the temple faced east, and the water was flowing from under the right side of the temple south of the altar. They bought me 2 Bibles, and I walked out with this one this morning because it's the one I've been studying in. I'm telling you, I'm not worth a flip sometimes. I want you to catch something right here today. Let's read that verse again. This is very important. He brought me back to the door of the temple, and there was water flowing from under the threshold of the temple toward the east, and front of the temple faced east, and the water was flowing from under the right side of the temple south of the altar. He brought me out by way of the north gate and led me around on the outside to the outer gateway that faces east, and there was water running out of the right side. Can I tell you something? When the water of life, when the water of God, and He's talking about the Spirit of God here. He was showing Ezekiel something here about, now you can go and you can look at the water here flowing from Jerusalem. He's talking about to the Dead Sea. But you have to understand something about our life right here. When He showed him the water, He took him to the door. But when He led him out into the water, He led him through the north. gate or the north door. If you know anything about it, the north, according to God's law, is the law of trials and temptations and troubles. Not always will you be led out to see the river of God or the Spirit of God moving in your life in just fantastic moves of God. In other words, there'll be times that for you to learn about God, He's going to lead you out. You see, it would have been good had He led Jesus just straight out of Jordan and His ministry started, but it says the Spirit led Him into the wilderness to be tempted. And let me let you understand something today. It's not always an easy thing when the Spirit of God is leading you in your life. A lot of times it'll be in areas that you really don't want to go through or that you might not want to conquer in your life. But it is, your ministry cannot go forth until you have went through some things or conquered some things. You see, it was nothing for Jesus to walk up and lay hands or just speak a word and be healed after He went through the wilderness. Don't ever think that where you're at today, I've heard so many people, well, God won't take you into anything like that. But when I go back, I look at what the Word says, and it said the Spirit led Him into the wilderness. Now, He didn't tempt Him, but He led Him there. You see, there is some things, it was a short route to the promised land. But God led them through the desert and the wilderness around. You see, not always is it an easy trip, but you have to understand when you're led by the Spirit. Look at these things right here. He brought me out by the way of the north gate, led me around the outside to the outer gateway that faces east. There was water running out on the right side. Aren't you glad when He does take you out, though? It's always, regardless of what gate He brings, He'll let you see that eastern gate. Because that's the gate that Christ is coming at. You see, that's the gate that points toward Christ. You see, regardless of what gate He brings you out at, you'll be able to see the eastern. And you see, and not only that, the water or the Spirit flowed out of the north also. So you understand, a lot of times we think because of the north winds are blowing, we think that God's not around. But can I tell you this morning, He flows out of the north just the same. Let's look at some things.